Saturday mornings in my neighborhood were supposed to be quiet, you know? But that one started with a bang, and I mean a real bang. First thing I hear is a basketball slamming off my garage door. Like someone's trying to cave the thing in, and then this snot-nosed kid's laughter, echoing down the street, sharp enough to wake the dead. I shuffle to the window, coffee barely in my hand. And there he is, this rail-thin teenager with a backward cap, acting like my garage is his personal NBA tryout. Not 3 feet away, his mom, our infamous HOA Karen, arms crossed so tight I'm amazed she could breathe, is glaring at the world like she invented disappointment. She's not flinching at the noise, not even a twitch. Instead, she shouts, "My son deserves to practice wherever he wants. Community courts are too far." Like that's a reasonable thing to holler before 8 a.m. Now, most folks would think the ball was the problem. It wasn't. Parked right behind the kid was my Mustang, cherry red, polished so sharp you could shave in the reflection, my pride and joy, the one thing in this whole HOA circus that still felt like mine. And I could see it, plain as day. The kid didn't give a damn about basketball. He kept sneaking glances at the car, eyes lit up like a kid at Christmas, and muttering something to his mom under his breath. Suddenly, I realized this wasn't about sports. This was about entitlement, and my car was next on the hit list. I threw on a t-shirt, stepped outside barefoot, and tried to keep my voice calm. "Hey, you might want to move that ball before it takes a detour into my fender." The kid sneered, and Karen's nostrils flared like she'd caught a whiff of bad cheese. "He's not going to hit your car," she snapped. "And if he did, maybe you should have parked it in your garage." That's when I knew exactly what I was up against. Karen, fresh off her new gig as HOA vice president, wielding her authority like a weapon, and her son Tyler, 15, going on full-time menace. Just as I'm turning back to the house, Tyler says, loud enough for me to hear, "I want that car, Mom. I should be driving that instead of Dad's old Jeep." Karen just nods. Nods. That's when it really hit me. This was war. The next week, the harassment started, death by 1,000 paper cuts. Notices on my door, lawn too long, mailbox too short, garden gnome too, whatever. It was all a setup, and they weren't even being subtle. Tyler started slapping the Mustang's hood on his way past. Smirking, "Bet this thing drives like a dream. Shame it's wasted on an old guy like you." For the record, I'm mid-30s, but in kid years, I'm basically a fossil. Still, I kept calm. That's my thing. Let folks dig their own graves. Until, one night, I caught Tyler in his socks at midnight, jiggling the Mustang's handle. Porch light hits him and he freezes, then claims, "Just checking if it was locked." Safety, you know. His mom backed him up the next morning, like she was doing me a favor. That was the last straw. I called Mark, my buddy with the county sheriff's K-9 unit, and next Saturday, I introduced Tyler and Karen to Diesel, 100 pounds of German Shepherd who looks at trouble like it's breakfast. That afternoon, Tyler's circling my Mustang with his buddies, bragging, "I'll have this car by summer. Mom says we can make it happen with HOA rules." Right then, Diesel strolls out, ears up, teeth just showing. Tyler freezes, his friends bolt. Karen shrieks, "Is that even allowed?" Mark, grinning, says, "Certified service animal. Perfectly allowed." Karen's face goes purple. But you know how it goes. Entitled people don't quit. They escalate. A week later, I get a letter, not a warning, a demand. The HOA, led by Karen, wants me to sell the Mustang. Reason? Aesthetic harmony. I nearly spit out my coffee reading it. 2 doors down. There's a rusted-out camper, but my car is the problem? Yeah, right. I pour another cup, grab a notebook, and start making a list. Next stop, HOA office, which is just a souped-up shed at the wreck center. Karen's in there with Tyler, surrounded by binders, acting like she's CEO of the cul-de-sac. "Mr. Johnson," she says, dragging out my name like she's scraping something off her shoe. "We were discussing your vehicle." I drop the letter on her desk, smile. Funny, the bylaws don't mention Mustangs. Only commercial vans and broken-down cars. Mine's in better shape than half the houses on this street. Karen fires back. "The board can amend rules. Bright colors distract children. Safety issue." Tyler finally looks up, all smirk. "It'd look better in my driveway." I deadpan. "It'd look better with you holding a learner's permit." "Oh wait, you don't have one." That got under his skin. Karen threatens fines, $100 a day. I grin. See you in 31 days. She thinks I'll fold. But here's the trick. HOA rules cut both ways. That night, over a couple beers, Mark and I comb the bylaws and find gold. Karen's SUV blocks the sidewalk, her backyard. Pergola was built with no approval. Her dog barks past midnight. I start chatting with neighbors, planting seeds. Strange the HOA's cracking down on cars when Karen's SUV is a barricade. Huh? Next meeting, the firestorm erupts. Retired Navy vet Mr. Daniels booms. Isn't your SUV in violation, Karen? Mrs. Alvarez chimes in about the pergola. Suddenly, Karen's on defense. The board votes to review her violations, and Tyler storms out, muttering how unfair life is. But Karen? She doubles down. Next day, my Mustang's got a fresh scratch. Not deep, just enough to make the point. I set up a camera. That Friday, it catches Tyler and his friends creeping up at midnight. Diesel's silhouette in the window, and the kids scatter like cockroaches. I show Mark the footage. It's enough for a police report, but I wait. I want Karen and Tyler to hang themselves, you know what I mean? Morning after, Karen marches up, clipboard in hand. Your dog lunged at my son last night. Remove him, or I call animal control. I smile. Funny, I've got video of your son trying to steal my car. Want me to show it to the board, or the sheriff? She goes pale for a second, and I know the tide's turning. Next HOA meeting, Karen launches a community safety initiative. She wants to ban dangerous dogs. I sit quiet as the room stirs, then calmly drop Diesel's K9. Credentials on the table. Hernandez, the deputy, vouches for him. The board laughs her motion off the agenda. Tyler sulks. But things get darker. 2 nights later, cameras catch Tyler and his friends. At the Mustang again, this time with tools. I call Mark, and within minutes, the kids are caught, tools on the ground, Mark's cruiser lights painting the whole mess. Karen arrives screaming. But the proof's in my hands now. Video, tools, the works. I give Karen an ultimatum. Tyler apologizes, stays away, or this goes to the sheriff and the news. But Karen's got one last trick. She hires a lawyer, claims I traumatized her son, demands $25,000. I call my own lawyer, Whitaker, who laughs it off and drafts a counter letter. At the next meeting, the board president reads my response aloud, makes it clear HOA funds won't pay Karen's bills. The room shifts. But Karen, even cornered, isn't done. She spreads gossip, calls CPS on me, accuses me of endangering kids I don't even have. Social workers come, see nothing's wrong, and apologize for the trouble. Finally, the board calls an emergency session. I bring receipts. Karen's been bleeding the HOA with shady contracts and fake expenses. This time, the room explodes. Karen is suspended, the audit starts. That night, I think it's over. But at 2 a.m., Diesel wakes me. Karen's in my driveway, barefoot, gas can in hand, wild look in her eyes. Diesel goes ballistic, Karen bolts, and the cops catch her with the can. Arson. This time, she's cuffed and driven away. Tyler stands on the lawn, hollow-eyed. And for the first time, I just feel tired, not angry, not vindicated. Tired. Because wars like this, they don't end with a winner. They end with a neighborhood picking up the pieces for years. After Karen's gone, the cul-de-sac goes quiet, but the tension hangs in the air. I keep my guard up, Mustang locked tight, Diesel by my side. A letter arrives from Karen's lawyer. She claims she was framed, wants the charges dropped. Tyler spirals, vandalizes my garage, but his dad, finally, shows up to apologize. The trial comes and goes. Karen's found guilty, sentenced, barred from HOA roles. She fades into the background. The Mustang's still mine. Diesel still naps at my feet. The neighborhood finally breathes again. One day, Tyler shows up, empty, broken, says, "She ruined everything." I just tell him to fix himself before it's too late. He nods, leaves, and never bothers me again. That's how it ends. Entitlement always crumbles. Sometimes justice is just surviving, and finally, having peace enough to call home, home again. So tell me, where's the line between standing up for yourself and fueling the fire? Was I right to fight, or should I have walked away? Let me know down in the comments. What would you have done?